Hi team, welcome to week 4 where we're looking at the concepts of segmentation and targeting. Now our focus in this lecture series is really around the idea of establishing our marketing strategy. So we firstly, as part of the marketing process, we obviously look at the area of opportunity. We identify a market opportunity based on an environmental scan and market research. We've discussed this in previous lectures. Having established the area of opportunity, we now need to start to think about how we consolidate our marketing strategy, where we look at three, very important and interrelated topics, which are segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And in this process, we break the market up into homogeneous groups to generate target market segments, and we propose a value positioning based on the needs of the consumer segments, and we go about building brand image accordingly. That is, we take one existing market or a product market or a service market, we break it down into smaller markets, and we make sure that our customer value proposition has a strategic fit to the particular segment or segments that we might be targeting. And then we go about building our positioning, which is the core promise that our brand is making in order to tighten that strategic link between the segment or segments that we're looking at and the value proposition that we are delivering to that particular target audience. So that is the central focus of this week's lecture and next week's lecture, where we'll look at positioning. Having defined how a market can be segmented, having looked at which segments we plan to target, and what our core promise is going to be, or what our positioning for our brand is going to be, we then start to think about deployment of the marketing mix in order to create that bundle of benefits that reinforces that customer value proposition. And we look specifically at our product offering, our pricing strategy, distribution, and communication strategies or promotional strategies designed to reinforce our positioning. And then finally, we look at implementation and control. And this is fundamentally important, largely because we need to make sure that what we set out to achieve in terms of the objectives that we set for our brand, we are able to monitor and make adjustments. We might require adjustments in relation to our product specification, could be issues relating to shifts in pricing, perhaps shifts in distribution, or even changes in our promotional activity based on the types of mediums that we might be using to communicate. So we might shift from television to online, or shift a greater percentage of our budget. We might shift our messaging. Our messaging might not be as effective in communicating with our desired target audience, our unique customer value proposition. So today, the focus is on segmentation and targeting. We're going to look firstly at what is market segmentation in the first part of the lecture series. Then in the second part, we'll look at how to segment a market. And then finally, we'll look at making targeting decisions. So let's start by defining what a market is. Now, a market refers to the group of consumers or organizations, if we're considering business-to-business marketing, that is interested in the product, has the resources to purchase the product, or is permitted by law and other regulations to acquire the product. Now, when I think of a market, I tend to think of a category within which a group of competitors compete with similar product offerings that have variations in the value that they offer to different segments in that category or in that market. A good example is, the confectionery market, or another good market might be the deodorant market. Okay, so this is how I tend to think of categories. Some brands are very good at being able to segment markets and have different products to almost all segments in that market to try and create leadership and domination in a product category, which makes it very difficult for their competitors to make entry. So what is market segmentation? Well, market segmentation is the process of dividing a market into groups of consumers that have common needs for the purpose of selecting one or more segments to target with a distinct marketing strategy. A good way to think about segmentation is to visualize the idea of what segmentation actually looks like. So if we imagine a product market or a category represented on the far left-hand side of this slide, we might be able to break it into these 5 different segments, and one brand might target 2 of those segments, another brand might target the third, and the third brand might target the remaining segments. And each of these brands will have a different positioning in order to strategically position their product offering in a way that satisfies the unique wants and needs of those that reside in the segments that they are choosing to target. So the whole idea is that different brands will have different customer value propositions that reinforce their unique core promise in order to make their brand appealing, because it is most likely to facilitate fulfilling the wants and needs of the consumers that reside in those unique and discrete segments. In this instance, we could look at a quick example, which I do talk about later, but a segment could be, if let's say we're looking at the shoe category, one segment could be professional athletes. Another segment C, could be those that are interested in sport. Segment D could be fashionistas, for example. Segment E could be those that are interested in products that serve to protect the environment. Or for segment A, you might have a brand such as Nike targeting segment A with a positioning that is all around empowering the soul of the athlete, or delivering peak athletic performance. In segment B, you might have, in segment C, I should say, with brand B, if this particular group of consumers might be interested in looking at those for whom sport is social, and this might be Puma, that is positioned as a brand that puts the sociability into sport. And if we think about segment D and segment E, this could be a brand, for example, that segment D could be the fashionistas, for example. It could be a brand that is predominantly designed in such a manner that its positioning is about making you look good, or in giving you the glamour look, or whatever it happens to be, but the attributes and benefits that are inherent in the different products and the different brands and the core promises that they're making need to appeal to the different wants and needs that are being sought within the individual segments that you identify in any product market. That's the key takeout from this slide. The process of dividing a potential consumer base normally consists of existing and potential customers into subgroups of consumers, which are known as segments, based on some type of shared characteristics. And this visual imagery that you see here of the different faces demonstrates how we can pull out different segments of consumers based on the fact that they share characteristics that gives them a sense of commonality, and typically commonality in the types of attributes and benefits that they might be seeking in order to serve their wants and needs in any one product category. Segmentation often serves two purposes. The first is to identify which customers to serve or to acquire, and also to identify what differentiated value proposition is the segment or the consumers in that segment going to be the most receptive to. Now, you do not segment companies, you do not segment brands, you segment people. That's another important message to keep in the back of your mind. So the intent of market segmentation is to split the overall market into smaller consumer groups. These groups should have similar needs and behavior or characteristics that are the same. We need to design the marketing mix to meet those needs so that there is a strategic alignment between the segment we've identified and the product offering that we are making to them. And we need to offer a stronger fit to those specific needs than what the competitors do in order to have our message heard. There are, of course, a number of benefits to segmentation. It helps determine market opportunities in terms of letting us identify what segments of the marketplace may not yet be served by a competitive offering. If there is a segment that is not served, clearly that may create an opportunity for a brand to develop a product or service that adequately meets that segment and their needs. It allows marketers to develop a positioning or core promise that is motivating and differentiated from competitive offerings. It builds understanding of the bundle of benefits or the customer value proposition that is most likely to fulfill a target's needs. It helps us determine product pricing because we can get a sense or an idea into the extent to which they might be price elastic or price inelastic in the decisions that they make, and allows us to strategically develop and improve existing products. So a good example of this, if we think back to that original chart, this was what I was alluding to. If we think about the possible segments that are in the sports shoe market, one segment we might name as the unlimited competitors. These people here are going to be professional athletes that are interested in buying products that have or help empower peak athletic performance. And Nike could be targeting this particular segment of consumers. The second group could be the social participants in sport. They're not into trophies and oranges at half time. These are people that are more interested in the social participation of sport. Could be the social game of tennis, could be the social game of 10-pin bowling, etc. And Puma might be having within it repositioned its brand actually away from Nike and Adidas to target this particular group of consumers by offering a value proposition that was more around the social participant, the joy of sport, having joy and sport as part of everyday life, where things like comfort and fashion credentials became important to this brand. And of course, you could have a third segment called the healthy relaxers, which Reebok might target. Okay, so this in essence is what is market segmentation. And just to finalize, market segmentation is about taking a market or a product category, grouping it into homogeneous groups of consumers that share common wants and needs, giving that segment a name, and understanding which segments you can actually target because there are no competitors there, or you have a product offering that you believe that you can create differentiation through in order to create a customer value proposition that is motivating to those consumers, differentiated from the competition, and is therefore likely to be most receptive in fulfilling the wants and needs of that particular group of consumers, based on the premise that you're delivering what customers want in order to deliver growth for your brand. So that concludes part 1 of the week 4 lecture series. Thank you.